Hey folks, welcome to this week's Geeking Out. On this week's show, we're reviewing Green Hornet, Year 1, Number 1. Green Lantern Corps, Number 46. Neverland, Number 1. Siege, Number 3 of 4. American Vampire, Number 1. Batman and Robin, Number 10. The A-Team, Shotgun Wedding, Number 1. And our viewers send in Spotlight, Penny for Your Soul, Number 1. Thoughtless, Number 1. And Critter, Number 1.
Hey there fans in Comic Land, it's Leila here from the Comic Connection for this week's comic book reviews. And first up we've got American Vampire Number 1, written by Scott Snyder and Stephen King with art by Raphael Albuquerque. So in this one, in Big Break, a young actress who works 3 jobs just to pay the bills is invited to an exclusive Hollywood party. Will this be her big break or the worst night ever? And in Bad Blood, a notorious murderer and thief, known as Skinner Sweet, is caught and sentenced to death. But fate, it seems, would have different plans for him. So this was a pretty good book. If you're into vampires, you're going to dig it. It's set in 2 different time periods, but there's one character that seems to go or be constant through both stories. Both writers did a really good job. I mean, if you're a Stephen King fan, then you're not going to be disappointed in his writing. And Scott Snyder does very well for himself as well. The only thing that's kind of disappointing about the series is the art, at least for me. It's proficient, but stylistically, not what I was hoping for. But again, if you're a vampire fan, you have to pick it up. Next up, we've got Siege, Number 3, written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Olivia Coppola. So in this one, the battle for Asgard is in full swing. Thor takes on the Sentry. Tony Stark suits back up to take on Norman Osborn, and Steve Rogers and his Avengers take on the Hood and his members of the Initiative. So this was pretty awesome. I mean, Asgard falls, surprise, surprise, and a true villain is revealed, which is kind of surprising. But if you haven't been reading Siege so far, why aren't you? I mean, it is really amazing. This is probably the best issue yet. It's really exciting, and I can't wait for the final issue, Number 4. Next up, we've got a couple of viewer send-ins. The first one is called Thoughtless. It's Number 1. It's by Richard Zajac and Rob Dumowski. So in this one, Rachel and Emily used to be friends, and now they're not because they're in different circles, and one of them went goth, and one of them is like a popular girl, and they don't really enjoy talking to each other anymore except for in shop class. Also, they find ways to, still relate, but, not as regular friends anymore. So this was okay. I mean, the art style's pretty good, but I gotta say, the story was just not that interesting to me, and I was a teenage girl in high school, and I was still like, this is pretty boring. But for a first try, if this is a first try, then it's not bad, and it's definitely a beautiful book to look at. It's just the story didn't grab me very much, but maybe I'm just too much from the superhero world. And last but not least, Critter Origin by Tom Hutchinson and Jose Luis. And this one, Kezia is a tomboy from Michigan who's about to move to California and go to college, but her life is about to change in many ways. She learns that she has sort of superpowers, but she doesn't know where that kind of comes from. And she learns that her mother had superpowers of her own, and her old team members want her to join their team. So this was a pretty good book. I mean, if you're a superhero fan, this has a bit of a different spin, all while seeing like a regular origin story. You're really going to enjoy it. It's got great art and story. Pick it up.
Hey folks, Jim here with this week's comic reviews. First up, Neverland, Number 1, written by Joe Brusha with art by Jean-Paul Dijon. And in this one, Nathan Cross is a man with a haunted past he cannot shake. Wendy Darling is a devoted aunt, but when the evil entity known as Pan enters Wendy's world and kidnaps her nephews, she must seek out Nathan to help save her family. Another okay Grimm Fairy Tales spin-off story. As always, the art is simply gorgeous. The story suffers, though. And unfortunately, this is one of their worst stories to date. And quite frankly, I like dark fairy tales. I really do, but this really kind of blows as a dark fairy tale, and it really shows in this book. Other than that, art good, story bad. Next up, Penny for Your Soul, Number 1, written by Tom Hutchison with art by J.B. Nito. And in this one, Danica is out to make a name for herself in the ages-old battle between heaven and hell. She sets up shop in Las Vegas and offers her patrons $10,000. All it will cost them is their souls. Now, this is everything that Grimm Fairy Tales is not. It has great story, great art, It's simply fantastic. This is one of our viewer send-ins this week, so I do want to thank Tom Hutchison for sending them in, and I really recommend everyone, please go into your newest previews for March and order this book. It's on page 208. You won't regret it. It's simply fantastic. And unfortunately least this week is Green Hornet Year 1, number 1, written by Matt Wagner with art by Aaron Campbell. And in this one, which shows the earliest days of Green Hornet as he and Kato meet and find out they have pasts that are intertwining, it's an interesting take on it. Unfortunately, this is probably Matt Wagner's worst work ever. And I love Matt Wagner. I love his stuff on MASH. I love Grendel, but this is just muddy. It's muddy as all get out. The art really suffers, and unfortunately Wagner's script also really suffers as well from it. And quite frankly, I don't see a point, Dynamite, in having like 6 different Green Hornet spin-offs. Really. Just stick with the Kevin Smith one. You'll do fine. The Kevin Smith book is actually great compared to this. And I really hate saying that because Matt Wagner is a fantastic writer and artist. So we'll see you next week.
Hey guys, what's up? Double D here, and I hope you know who I am by now. If not, too
We
bad.
don't.
Sorry. So I'm pretty hungry right now, so I gotta get home. So I'm gonna try and do these reviews as quickly as possible. Plus, we got a lot of stuff to review this week, which I guess is kind of a good thing. First up, we have Blackest Night Green Lantern Corps number 46. This is like third to last issue in the whole Blackest Night shebang, and the last issue in the Green Lantern Corps storyline that's been taking place throughout the whole Blackest Night. So basically, a lot happens in this. They even had to jack it up from a $2.99 to a $3.99 title just to fit everything in. So it basically takes place while all the Green Lantern Corps members and all the other Corps members are coming to Earth to take on the Black Lanterns. So basically, Ice and Alex, 2 ex-girlfriends of 2 of the Green Lanterns, come and attack them, but they're defeated, and then they have to go down to Earth, where it turns out that Necron is actually being powered by the Anti-Monitor, so something pretty important to this whole entire storyline, and they fight him, so pretty awesome. If you're into Blackest Night, you pretty much need to pick this up. Next up, I have Batman and Robin, written by Grant Morrison, with art by Andy Clark. So, again, this is Grant Morrison. It's amazing, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, though. Like, I'm a huge fan of Grant Morrison's writing style and what he's done with the with the Batman and Robin series. But I'm not really a huge fan of what they're doing with Bruce Wayne. How he's like stuck in a time warp or something, and he's going to come back as like cowboy Bruce Wayne and all these different things. But this is basically the first part in the Return of Bruce Wayne storyline. So it's I don't know if you're interested in that. I was kind of hoping that Dick Grayson would stick on as Batman a little bit longer, but they decided to bring Bruce Wayne back. But a lot happens in this issue. Basically, Damian gets mind controlled by his mother and kind of has a fight with Dick Grayson, and it's pretty epic. Alright, and lastly, I have the A-Team Shotgun Wedding, which is based on the new movie, not the original show. So if you're looking forward to the new A-Team movie with Charlotte Copley and Liam Neeson and all them, then you might be interested in this, but unfortunately, first off, it has nothing to do with the Shotgun Wedding, which kind of sucks. Basically, the A-Team members are on the Alaska-Russia border, where they have to take down an Alaskan terrorist. But, I don't know, the story and art was just okay. So if you're a huge A-Team fan, pick it up, but otherwise, I guess you could skip out on this one. It's up to you.
Hey folks, Jim and Leila here. Now, unfortunately, next week we will be taking the week off as Leila will be heading to Chicago and I'll be heading to Toronto for Wizard World Toronto. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, but you can see some of my interviews with some celebrities and various comic creators from Wizard World in the next week or so.
See you in 2 weeks.
See ya!